Chapter 12. Back in Belize, Simo looked on the Mayan archaeological vestiges with renewed interest as he went about the preparations for his retirement to Ibiza with enthusiasm. The following weekend he drove to a Mayan site deep in the Chicabul forest, 200 kilometers to the southwest of Belize City and close to the border with Guatemala. It was the most important archaeological site in Belize, Caracol, the ruins of a vast city discovered in 1937. Once the home to an estimated 140,000 people, larger than Belize City itself, covering almost 180 square kilometers, abandoned around AD 900, much of it now shrouded by dense rainforest and inhabited by wild animals. It was incredible. More than 35,000 structures had been identified, the most remarkable being the Cana, a pyramid, the tallest man-made building in Belize, rising 43 meters above the summits of the forest, with the main plaza surrounded by the remains of temples, palaces, ball courts, and an astronomical observatory. As Simo drove back to Belize that evening, his mind wandered, pondering the Mayan civilization before the conquest and the destruction of its history. Soon he would be retiring to Ibiza, and he made up his mind to visit the Museo de America in Madrid, where he could see the Maya codices before taking off for the Mediterranean island. The museum was said to hold the finest collection of pre-Columbian American art and artifacts in Europe, a unique exhibition of objects brought to Spain at the time of the conquest, and during the centuries when Spain ruled one of the world's greatest overseas colonial empires ever. One of its treasures was the Madrid Codex, rediscovered in Spain in the middle of the 19th century. Its discovery was also shrouded in mystery. It was composed of two fragments. A certain Juan de Tro y Hortelano in Madrid in 1886, and the second from Juan de Palacios, who tried to sell the smaller fragment in 1867. It was said that part of the codex was bought in the Spanish province of Extremadura, the home of many of the conquistadors, including Hernán Cortés, who may have brought it to Spain. In the same museum was the Tudela Codex, discovered by the Spanish ethnologist José Tudela de la Orden in 1940, and considered by many to be one of the most significant pre-Columbian discoveries of the 20th century. The Codex dated from the mid-16th century and provided a glimpse into the religions, rituals, language, and culture of the Aztecs. The Codex consisted of 125 pages, composed during the early days of the Spanish conquest, and consisted of three sections written in Nahuatl and Spanish: the Libro Indigena, the Libro Pintado Europeo, and the Libro Escrito Europeo. It had been lost and forgotten for centuries and was rediscovered by chance in 1940 in a private collection at La Coruña in northern Spain, subsequently presented to José Tudela, then deputy of the Museo de America in Madrid. The sun was going down as Simo dreamily imagined himself in his Ibiza villa, overlooking the Mediterranean, a fitting reward for half a lifetime in Belize. Without thinking, he drifted towards the centre of the narrow road. As he glanced in the rear-view mirror, he saw the headlights of a fast-approaching vehicle. Before he knew it, it was on his tail and flashing its headlights. He pulled over, but the road was narrow, and as the vehicle, a large pickup, passed, it sideswiped him, sending his roadster into a violent skid. Simo lost control, shot off the macadam into the dense jungle-covered swamp that bordered the road, where the roadster overturned and quickly sank, disappearing into the thick slime. The pickup braked further along the road and reversed. The driver shone the powerful spotlight mounted above his door into the swamp. There was nothing to be seen, just a few bubbles as the dark green slime settled back into place. Two men got out. They shouted in Spanish. One swore loudly in Russian. After a couple of minutes they got back into the pickup and disappeared into the night. It wasn't until several days later Maria Schmidt, Simmons' worried assistant, contacted the police to inform them of his disappearance. It was nothing unusual in Belize. People came and people went. Perhaps he had gone to ambergris, or abroad as he often did. Perhaps he had been victim of a crime. Maria went out to Simo's villa. His housekeeper knew nothing. He had said something about visiting the ruins. Which ones she wasn't sure. A week passed, then two. There was still no news. Simo had disappeared off the face of the earth, without a trace, soon to be forgotten, unmourned, but not by all. Wisniewski had thought he knew everything in the offshore and money laundering rulebook. Perhaps he did, in Russia's tightly controlled opaque system, where justice was violent and expeditive, and where it was not easy to hide. But he was an amateur compared to those who had grown up in Caribbean offshore banking. Wallace and his likes knew every trick in the book, as far as structuring financial schemes designed to hide money, where it came from, where it went, and above all the identities of its owners and the beneficiaries of the transactions. Wallace's system could be broken down into three phases. Firstly, channeling the profits skimmed off commodities exported from Russia, for example, a cargo of nickel, aluminium, platinum, copper or phosphates, is sold to a fictive offshore company A at below market prices. Secondly, Company A sells the commodities now on the high seas to Company B, which sells them to a bona fide buyer at nearby market price. Thirdly, the margin siphoned off in the process by Company B is used to pay fictive commissions or buy fictive services from Company C, which then proceeds to hide the profits behind a cascade of offshore shell companies before they are invested in real estate development, such as the Ambergris Golf Resort, or other solid assets, which can subsequently be placed on the international market and legally acquired by a US, UK, or European investor, with the proceeds of the sale recycled into the legal economy through the regulated banking system. Wallace and Simmons were the essential cogs in the machine. Wallace, the launderer, oversaw the movement of funds. Simmons provided the legal services related to setting up the various elements of the conduit, mainly shell companies, holding companies, and offshore bank accounts.